mingisarom kana lona FM kasi ke xikoken Brian rikoken rsimrer rikoken inkom so mingisarom kana lona FM rankari lekutsumen sunani mane etsela na Ndavela Ndave lokuma Vulavula kuna minongono ko tala leyi va ku yiriko yi lulamseriwa vantshwa ku lwisana na timhaka ta ku kayivela ka mintirho xana tanihi ofisi ya Premier na xifundza xa Limpopo mi endla yini ku ololoxa xiphiqo xexo hi vantshwa?
What we have done as a province is to set aside 10% of procurement annually on the budgets that are set aside by departments. But on an annual basis, we must reach a 10% target that all companies that are employed doing business with government, they should be youth companies. And that target we're able to meet on an annual basis. So over a period of 10 years, we have invested over R1 billion onto youth-owned companies. And if you look into areas and companies that are run, most of the provinces are run by young people, and they've started because of the support that government provides to them. Municipalities as well have certain percentage, mostly between 15 and 30% of their procurement that goes to companies that are owned by young people. So what we have done is that we have created a conducive environment wherein business for young people is able to thrive, and also opportunities for them to go in other areas beyond what is the traditional practices that are known. Even if you look here, you are surrounded by over 5 community radio stations that previously would not have been there, and most of them are run and controlled by young people. 80% of those radio stations are led by young people, and that is what government has done. But we realize that that's not good enough as well. That's why last year, just a few months ago, we launched a special program that will help those who have not been able to start small, those with business ideas, that we allow them to come and be advised to apply for money. If a young person needs opportunity to run their own business, to do a business proposal, they are given money to do that. And if they need an advice on how to run a business or how to set up a business venture, or if the business is already in place, we have money that ranges from 10,000 up to 250,000 per business, and 300 applications have come through so far. In the next 3 weeks, we'll be making an announcement on those who have benefited.
Hayi kodwa cancel swinene tasibona loko nkarhi ka famba ku mi va pfuna njhani tanihi vantshwa cancel swinene inkom so mingisarom kala lona FM va bula na bona inkulukumba Ndave Ramakweda la kutsutsumela ka digale kambe ku tikomba ku ri na vanhu vambirhi lava hi hetiselaka ku ya kona swi tikomba ngeti Premier kumbe tatana Mashatile va ta teka nkarhi ku ya mahlweni ku tlangeriwa timhaka ta vantshwa
at the hands of the inhumane apartheid regime. June 16 is also International Pride Month. We want to reiterate that the Constitution of the Republic outlaws all unfair discrimination, gender, or sexual orientation, whether committed by a government or a private party. For this reason, the government strongly believes that the rights of lesbian, gay, transgender, intersex, queer, asexual are human rights. We will continue to defend and advance the rights of the LGBTQIA+ community, including ensuring that they are part of the mainstream economy. People of South Africa, the youth of 1976 laid their lives. They were driven by a resolve to bring down apartheid in favor of a non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, united and prosperous South Africa. We stand on the shoulders of these giants. Hence, without fear or favor, we remain grateful to the youth of 1976 for their contribution to the social and political transformation of our nation. Their undying spirit and commitment to ending apartheid helped pave the way for a more equitable education system in South Africa. Because of them, the youth in our schools are not compelled to acquire an inferior education in the language that has been imposed on them. In honor of that generation, we have developed a system that is conducive to learning. As a result, many students are now able to choose the careers of their choice. Young people now have the prospect of going to higher education training institutions, which are supported by the state. Moreover, the youth of 1976 fought for their political freedom. Now we must fight for economic freedom. Thus, the theme for this year is accelerating youth economic emancipation for a sustainable future. We are aware that economic independence is only attainable if we work together. Today's youth must draw inspiration from the youth of the past. Demonstrated the magnitude and power of young people when they are united to combat social injustices. As Peter Abrams once observed, and I quote, "You can't walk alone. Each man is bedded in his people, their history, their culture, and their values," close quote. That is true. We have committed to acknowledging past injustices. We have worked to build and develop our country and believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. Today is the day we remember where we came from as a nation and recommit ourselves to never returning to the South Africa of the past. Together with the youth of this country, we are steaming ahead to build the country of our dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, as the majority of our population is comprised of youth, it is incumbent upon all sectors of society to collaborate in equipping the youth with the skills necessary for development of our collective prosperity. If we fail to do so, we would have failed South Africa's future, as young people represent the future, and it is our responsibility to secure it. As we work with the private sector towards an inclusive economy that employs young people, we recognize that the path to an inclusive economy has not been simple. But like the youth of 1976, they are motivated by their undying spirit. We remain focused and determined to ensure that the youth have access to socio-economic opportunities. I am pleased that during the workup that the Minister and other colleagues did this morning, they were able to go and look at the opportunities that the young people were displaying at the expo. And I'm told that it was very impressive, and this initiative shows that the youth of our country are indeed on course. People of South Africa, as a government, we have placed the education and training of our young people at the top of our agenda. We believe that education is one of the most crucial enabling factors for attaining economic emancipation. Over the years, we have invested hugely towards a transformed education system. We will continue to invest in the development of an inclusive education system in which children from low-income and working-class families also have access to quality education from the foundation phase right up to higher education levels. We have been investing in the modernization of the delivery of education in our country. This includes ensuring that curriculum content is responsive to the rising demands of skilled labor, high-speed internet access, and that education delivery methods are now innovative. We have seen the educational outcomes, particularly the improvements in output, demonstrated by, amongst others, the province of the Free State, which has held the top position for the longest time in terms of matric results. Program Director, we congratulate the Free State Province and urge other provinces to adopt the province's perpetual drive by investing equally in the education of our children so that our country can become globally competitive. As part of exciting new disciplines in schools, the Department of Basic Education has introduced robotics and coding subjects at the foundation phase of learning. This will improve reading for meaning and understanding of concepts at an early phase and thereby give young children a strong foundation.
Recording in progress.
The Department of Basic Education is also introducing the 3-stream education system to ensure that not only academically oriented students benefit from education, but that learners can also choose the vocational or occupational stream that suits their needs. In addition to technical mathematics, technical science, and marine sciences, the sector is introducing 30 new vocational disciplines. This is part of the government's aim to guarantee that schools not only encourage academic accomplishment, but also vocational and occupational skills for young people. Furthermore, to expedite the delivery of pertinent and acceptable skills, our government remains committed to providing essential resources and infrastructure from the earliest levels of basic education right up to tertiary level. To guarantee that learners have access to the latest equipment, government has recapitalized 540 of the potential more than 1,000 technical schools. These investments and curricular revisions are bound to open new doors for the youth. We urge the youth to take advantage of these previously unavailable disciplines. Ladies and gentlemen, we remain concerned that the economy is not expanding at a rate that permits the economic development of a large number of people, especially the youth. It is for this reason that we are committing to accelerating youth economic emancipation for a sustainable future. In addition to existing government programs of supporting entrepreneurs through the NYDA grant program, we are providing young entrepreneurs with access to both financial and non-financial business development support to enable them to establish and grow their own businesses. The program focuses on youth entrepreneurs who are at intentional, promising new stages of enterprise development. For example, in the recent past, the program has achieved the following: 2,320 youth-owned enterprises funded through the financial interventions, 34,000 youth-owned enterprises supported with non-financial development interventions, and more than 6,000 jobs created and sustained through supporting entrepreneurs and enterprises. Program Director, together with the NYDA, will expand our entrepreneurial support program to reach as many young entrepreneurs as possible. Furthermore, under the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention, the government has launched several youth development empowerment initiatives to assist young people in entering the workforce. The Presidential Employment Stimulus remains a crucial government intervention to generate employment and livelihood opportunities, particularly at a time when the economy as a whole is not producing jobs at the required rate. The presidential employment stimulus builds on the years of success of public employment programs such as the Community Works Program and the Expanded Public Works Program. During the prior fiscal year, the stimulus enabled the creation of nearly 650,000 new jobs and thereby creating sources of income for the youth. These opportunities were made available in numerous industries, including agriculture and across several other fields. Of the people involved in the program, 83% are youth. This brings the total number of participants in the presidential employment stimulus since its launch in 2020 to over 1.2 million people. More than 3.9 million young people have also enrolled on the National Pathway Management Network, also known as SA Youth Mobi. This network provides a platform for young people to access learning and earning opportunities that are both inclusive and free of charge for data usage. Program directors, close to 350,000 young people have secured earning opportunities through this platform, with 68% of these being young women. 14,000 technical and vocational learners have secured workplace experience opportunities through the support of the sector education and training authorities in the Department of Higher Education and Training. 35,000 young people have secured non-financial support from the Department of Small Business Development and the National Youth Development Agency. And close to 5,000 have received financial support to start and scale up their enterprises. We are moving forward with this youth stimulation initiative because we are aware that no nation can prosper if its youth are not engaged in community service activities that promote social cohesion. In this regard, we have successfully revitalized the National Youth Service Program and now run one of the world's largest national youth service program with 47,000 participants working across sectors such as early childhood development, sports, arts, culture, nutrition, and digital mapping. More importantly, we are seeing 30% of these participants entering into longer forms of employments and enterprises. The Youth Employment Service, known as YES, is one of these. It is a partnership between government and the private sector to address the high level of youth unemployment. To date, YES has placed over 100,000 South Africans between the ages of 18 and 29 in local businesses for a year of work experience. Through YES, a total of 6 billion rand has been injected into the economy, enabling participants to support their families. Nearly 2/3 of these participants come from households reliant on social grants, and 40% are employed upon completion of the program. This program director is a practical example of social compacting at work to respond to youth unemployment and to give young people the necessary experience to get ahead. Our initiatives, strategies, and programs are geared towards providing a hand up as opposed to a hand out. We believe that when we give the youth a hand up, you enable them to see something inside themselves that they did not previously see. The goal is to make sure that young people see a chance that didn't exist before and know that they can do more than they thought they could before. We believe in the youth of our country. Hence, we will fight hard for the development and growth of our youth. We urge the private sector to continue to work with us in providing opportunities for the youth. If there is one thing that industry and the private sector must do, it is to hold action labs solely focused on improving the implementation of programs aimed at assisting young people. In this sense, I mean that of the 10 growth sectors of the economy, we require the private sector to set targets for the number of employment and support for the youth, which we'll measure and monitor in the action labs. This work will be led together with the NYDA and the existing social and private sector partners. In the next 6 months, we will need regular reports on the action labs agreed and interventions so that by the time we are in 2024, we can report practical results in this regard. Ladies and gentlemen, to keep young people active and engaged in our society, we must tap into their creative potential and expand the range of options accessible to them. As you are all aware, young people are yearning for socio-economic chances, and South Africa will only grow stronger if we continue to provide opportunities for the youth. As I mentioned earlier, this morning, when Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma and others went on a walkabout, they interacted with young people who are involved in youth opportunities, in the Youth Opportunities Expo. And I'm informed that these are initiatives that young people themselves are busy with. In addition, we would like to honor these young people who have reached significant milestones in their respective fields through the annual Trailblazer program, which was introduced in 2017 and seeks to highlight, celebrate, and profile young people who are doing extraordinary work. South Africans consider this group of young people to be exemplary, and they join other trailblazers who have been honored in the past. Alongside the measures put in place, we are harnessing the capacity and resources of the state to respond to the immediate and future needs of young people. Our country needs young people like yourselves, young people who will heed the call for a betterment and development, young people who will innovate and collaborate for a better South Africa, young people who will address without fear or favor the challenges of gender-based violence, young people who are patriotic and are unashamed of being of service to South Africa and her people. Program Director, in conclusion, I would like to extend my best wishes to the South African national netball team as Cape Town will host the tournament for the first time in Africa next month. To the very end, we will be with you. Like the youth of 1976, maintain the never die spirit and attitude and keep the trophy in our continent. This is your moment. I wish all of you, those who are out there in Mangaung, in the stadium and everywhere in the country, a happy Youth Day and a fruitful Youth Month. Thank you very much. Ke leboga go menagane.
Karhi swi endla 29 minete ku ya eka awara ya 1 i tiko a xi tleli nongonoko wo hlawuleka wa nhlikani wa namuntlha hikwalaho ka siku ra lavantshwa eAfrika-Dzonga leri migingiriko ya rona yi nga rhangeriwa hi xandla xa president ku nga nkulukumba Paul Mashatile hi loyi a ku hetaka ku vulavula na rixaka hi timhaka ta siku ra lavantshwa eAfrika-Dzonga. Kutani ke va gimetile xandla xa president eka mbulavulo wa vona lowu a va wu endla hi ku tirhisa technology hikwalaho ka swiphiqo swin'wana na swin'wana swi nga endla leswaku va nga koti ku va kona erivaleni ra mitlangu leya Bloemfontein ku va eka ntirho lowu wa ximfumo wa ku tlangela siku ra lavantshwa. Kasi hambiswiritano hi to khumbanyana tingani leti va nga ti khumba eka mbulavulo wa vona leswi va nga vulavula hi swona loko hi sungula ku va yingisela ka nongonoko lowu hlawuleka. Va vulavule hi timhaka ta ku va
vantshwa va 1976 swi endlaka 47 wa malembe lama nga hundza hi lava va nga tshikela vutomi bya vona ku lwela xidemokirasi xa Afrika-Dzonga lexi nga riki xa xihlawulambala xi nga yeki hi rimbewu ra munhu xidemokirasi xa Afrika-Dzonga lexi xi nga va xa ku herisa xihlawuhlawu kasi timhaka tin'wana va nga tikhumba hileswaku eka namuntlha leswi vantshwa va nga kota ku swi fikelela hikuva va lwela xidemokirasi lexi hi vona hi laha vantshwa va nga kotaka ku va va landzelela kumbe ku endla mintirho ya tidyondzo leti vona va nga hlawulela tona leswaku va lava ku tirha yini evuton'wini bya vona kasi mfumo wu ta va wu karhi wu pfuneta hi ku landza nhlokomhaka leyi ya lembe leri ya leswi va nge va la ku kondletela ku yisa mahlweni ku hluvukisa vanhu lavantshwa eka timhaka ta ikhonomi na ku vona leswaku bona vantshwa va kota ku fikelela swivandla swa mintirho na swivandla swo tihluvukisa eAfrika-Dzonga. Kutani va vulaka nkulukumba Mashatile leswaku dyondzo na ku leteriwa ka vantshwa hi leswi swi rhangisiwaka swinene emahlweni eka migingiriko ya mfumo. Va lava leswaku va na dyondzo leyi yi katsaka vanhu hinkwavo swi nga ri na mhaka leswaku munhu huma eka xiyimo xa vusweti kambe loko swi ta ka dyondzo munhu fanele ku va a fikelela dyondzo leyi nga ya quality kusukela kwale hansi eka foundation phase ku fika ka tidyondzo ta le henhla kasi va ta swi kota hikuva va vona leswaku loko swi ta ka ku fikelela dyondzo swo fana na internet leyi kotaka ku tirha hi ku hatlisa ya fikeleriwa kasi ka ku tihluvukisa eka lavantshwa va languta swiyenge swo fana na NYDA lava nga va na ntirho wo nyika nseketelo eka lava va nga vantshwa va nga na miehleketo ya ku tisungulela mabindzu na ku tihluvukisa kwala ka 5,000 lava nga kuma mpfuno ku fikela sweswi eka kusuka ka NYDA eka nkarhi lowu hi nga langutisa wona kasi va vulaka leswaku va tlhela va pfuxelela National Youth Service Program leyi va nge va ta vona leswaku vantshwa eka yona va kota ku kuma swiyimo swo tihluvukisa na ku gingirikela Afrika-Dzonga ka swiyenge swo hambanahambana ku nga va ka ku pfuna eka swa tidyondzo na ku letela van'wani vantshwa kasi leswi va nge swi ta va swi karhi swi langutiwa swinene va kuma na swiviko swa leswaku ntirho lowu famba njhani va lava ku vona leswaku swiyenge hinkwaswo swa mfumo swa nghenelela ku angula eka swilaveko swa lavantshwa kasi va fanele va va lavantshwa lava rhandzaka tiko ra vona na ku va kota ku tirhela tiko va angula eka mintlhontlho ya madzolonga ya swa rimbewu va hetelele na hi ku khensa xipano xa Afrika-Dzonga xa netball lava nga ta yimela tiko ka mphikizano wa matiko wa netball wu sungulaka eCape Town ku nga ri khale swin'wana leswi hi kucetaka swona kusuka eka mbulavulo wa xandla xa president wa tiko ku nga nkulukumba Paul Mashatile mbulavulo wa siku ra namuntlha Youth Day eAfrika-Dzonga hi khensile ta tlhela hi vuya ka minongonoko leyi nga ta landzela nongonoko wa tiko a xiyetleli wu ta va kona eka madyambu ya siku ra namuntlha hi khensile
Afrika wa vulavula mingisero mgara Lona FM hi ta ka wena Jake kusuka haleni eka Mdavula hi laha hi nga kona mingisero mgara Lona FM ku ngele ku fambeni ka ntirho lowu ngele ku yeni mahlweni ntirho wa ku tlangela siku ra vantshwa eAfrika-Dzonga mi ta tsundzuka ku ri na matimu ya kusuka kwele ka lembe ra 1979 laha ku nga hetelela ku va na vantshwa lava nga yima va kusuka sweswi hi lava ku teka xiboho xa ku vona leswaku hi yimela timhaka ta hina ngopfungopfu ka ku lwisana na nongonoko lowu a wu simekiwile hi mfumo wa xihlawuhlawu ku ri nongonoko lowu a wu tiyisisa na ku vona leswaku ku ta fanele ku dyondziwa hi xipfuno tidyondzo to tala swoleswo swi hetelela swi endla leswaku ku va na xiyimo xa ku va machudeni va kombisa ku vilela swi sungule kwele ka malembe ya va 1975 ivi swi ta hetelela hi loko ku va na hoyihoyi va kona hi siku leri ra vukhumetsevu ra n'hweti liya se swi ka leswi mingisero mgana Lona FM hina swi vulavuri ku hambanahambana ka swona leswi hi nga ta va eka hi vulavula hi swona ngopfungopfu loko kha hi langutaka siku leri ra vantshwa hi ndlela yaleyo se loko hi ka hi vulavula hi ndlela yaleyo hi laha hi hetelelaka hi languta leswaku xiyimo loko xi te tani xi lava ku va hi endla njhani ku ya emahlweni se hi mhaka leyi nga ta va kha hi languta mingisero mgana Lona FM hi ta bula na swiyenge swo hambanahambana leswi swi nga koho hi ka hi langute ngopfu ka ntirho lowu hi nga eka wona siku leriwani sweswi ni vulavulaka mingisero mgana Lona FM ku na lava va nge le ku vulavuleni eka ntirho lowu exiteji va vulavula hi timhaka leti ti khumbaka vantshwa swin'wana swa leswi va swi vulaka hileswaku vantshwa ku languteriwa leswaku ku hetelela ku va na vanhu lava va nga ta hetelela va languta ku vanhu vanhu lava va nga ta hetelela ku langutiwa ngopfu vantshwa ku langutiwa vantshwa ku endlela leswaku loko ka vulavuriwa hi timhaka leti ta vantshwa ku va kha ku langutiwe ku vantshwa lava va vuyeriwa njhani vengeri va karhele hi timhaka ta mintirho ya ti-EPWP va lava mintirho yinene se hi yo mhaka na sweswiwani xiyimo xi ri tani xa ku va lava mintirho yinene se va lavaka mintirho yinene hi leswi xiyimo xi nga ta hetelela xi va xi swona hi ndlela yaleyo na ku ra ku Afrika wa vulavula ka Munghana Lonene FM makombandlela kasi ke hi laha hi lavaka ku va hi vulavula hi sa amahlweni eka nhlekani lowu eka ngopfungopfu ka hi langutaka timhaka ta matshamele ya swilo ku ya emahlweni ku na sisila loyi nga wun'wana wa lava va nga vuyeriwa loko swi ta ka timhaka ta vukorhokeri bya vantshwa they say i beneficiary se lava ku twa ku i va beneficiary hi leri ri nge yini hi ndlela yoleyo sis Nteka.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks for asking me. How are you?
I'm good.
Yes, I'm told you are one of the beneficiaries in certain youth programs. What are those programs and how did you benefit?
Okay, my name is Mdavula from Mdavula. I'm the owner of Loud Designs. I was funded by NYDA. The money I used it to buy the materials and the machines.
You're a designer. You design what? Clothes.
I design clothes and suits. I design for both genders, kids and elderly people.
So the love of designing, where did it come from?
It's my passion. Even from high school, I studied fashion at Makwarela Bembetivet College. I also worked there to do my practical so that I get my diploma.
I mean, you were a high school student. So at high school, how did you begin to realize, I want to go this route?
Because I loved fashion and all the clothes I bought, they didn't satisfy me. I had to cut them. I had to change something on them. So
what was it? Why were you cutting them? Because of fashion, or you were cutting them because of you're not aware when you are this person who are so keen in designing your own clothes?
Yes, I cutted clothes because myself I'm tall. So
relatively tall. You're not tall.
Okay, myself I'm tall. I know I'm tall and thin. So mostly all the clothes I bought, especially jeans, they have to be altered to be a bit to fit me properly. So and other dresses, I felt that they would look more beautiful if they had more flowers or they had more beads. So it's either I cut them or I add something on the dress or I put patterns, a lot of different patterns on the shirt or on the jacket to make it fashionable.
I see.
Yes.
Now, since you are a beneficiary, some people would say, no, when you do a request at NYDA, they would not assist you timeously. So what would be your advice to them, those who are saying, who are dejected, who no longer want to find themselves making requests at NYDA?
The problem is when people are applying, some they are not, they don't want to wait because they think it's a process, and some they don't comply because there is a possibility that you're not complying and they want to help you. They are calling you, the call can't go through. You also have to go to the branch and ask how far my things are going so that they check for you. The problem is as youth, we want things to come to us. We don't want to work hard and strive for things which we want. So yeah, that's the advice I will give them. They must make a follow-up themselves. They must make sure that they comply. They must ask. Because that's the thing. You go there, you want them to tell you everything. You must ask, if I want this, how can I be helped?
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Roribongaman.
Okay, now you can catch Wendy on 063-755-8407 or on Facebook it's Mrauzi TK Wandi. Even on Instagram it's Wandi TK Mrauzi.
All right. Thank you. sweswo mi yingisela Mganelo FM van'wana va lava vuyeriwa loko swi ta ka timhaka ta ntirho wa vona ngopfungopfu loko ku langutiwa timhaka ta mintirho leyi nga le ku yeni mahlweni ya ku langutana ngopfungopfu na vantshwa ntirho lowu nga ka wona mi yingisela Mganelo FM ntirho lowu wu langutanaka na timhaka ta vantshwa lembe leri 2023 lembe leri hi nga eka rona hi ndlela yaleyo peri hi bula na MEC Dr. Phophi Ramathuba hi vo hi bulaka na vona MEC wa timhaka ta rihanyo eLimpopo hi lava ku bula na vona nhlekana siku ra namuntlha ku siku leri ra vantshwa leri ri vula yini a ni tshembi ku va va ha ri muntshwa MEC nhlekana
i nhlekani Khalanga na vayingiseli hinkwavo hi khensa nkarhi mi nga hi nyika wona
minkarhi hinkwayo na mi twa makhensa nkarhi lowu mi nyikaka wona swi tikomba ku ma swi tsakela ku vulavula na hina emwava alako
ku ala mwava mina ma swi tiva ku loko mina na n'wina same WhatsApp group loko mi nga ni nyiki airtime vanhu va ta vabya loko mi ni nyika airtime we protect prevent cholera prevent malaria Limpopo akufiwi akufiwi because of you
ta vuya hi vulavula hi languta ka timhaka ta cholera xiyimo xi njhani kambe hi leri i siku ra vantshwa namuntlha tanihi ndzawulo mi ri languta hi tihlo ra njhani
hina hi ri ndzawulo ya rihanyo a swi tiva ku ri hi va na vumundzuku bya Afrika-Dzonga ku lava ku hi khoma kahle vantshwa va hina se ndzawulo ya rihanyo yi na nkoka ngopfu ka rihanyo ra vantshwa that is why mi vona hi ri na ti-program to tala leti ti focusaku ka vantshwa va hina ku na ti-program loko hi languta ta ti-HIV AIDS mavabyi ya ti-reproductive health ti-STIs leti khomaku vantshwa that is why mi vona ku hi na ti-program ta teto na la ka ndzawulo ya hina ya rihanyo xa vumbirhi hi ku ka vantshwa masiku lamawani loko mi vulavula hi mavabyi ya vona a ma ha vulavuli hi leswi swa ti-STI ntsena masiku lama na vona va na ti-non-communicable disease hi kuma ku vantshwa vo tala hikwalaho ka swilo leswi hi swi dyaku va khoma hi mavabyi ya vakhalabyi ya ti-diabetes ti-high a ku ri mavabyi ya makhalabyi mara masiku lama because a ha exercise a ha ri hi na problem yin'wani ya problem leyi ni nga yi vona ya vantshwa ka mavabyi i leswi swa mavabyi ya miehleketo siku rin'wana na rin'wana ma swi twa ku muntshwa wi i ti teke vutomi bya yena hikwalaho ka ti-major depression khaleni a va hleketa ku loko hi vulavula hi mavabyi ya miehleketo hi vulavula hi munhu loyi a tlhuvulaka swimbalo a famba na mapatu na n'wina mi tshamiso mi na wona mavabyi lawa se swo va ku vantshwa a va na ti-coping mechanism ta ti-depression ta vona vantshwa a va ha tirhi masiku lama vo tala va graduatile a va na mitirho sweswo swi endla yini swi endla ku miehleketo yi hansi va vona van'wani va famba hi timovha ta kahle van'wani va aka tindlu ta vona ku na social media na yona pressure leyi nyiketaku vantshwa so ndzawulo ya rihanyo loko yi tirhela vantshwa na swin'wani loko hi nga vulavula hi rihanyo ntsena maswita va vulavula ku vona a va nyikiwi empowerment na yini ndzawulo ya hina ya rihanyo ni agwa na vona ko tala ku loko mi languta since ni sungula i vangana vantshwa va less than 30 years ni nga va nyika vutihlamuleri bya ku va ti-CEO swa swibedhlele hambi mi ya ka xibedhlele xikulukumba xa Pietersburg i muntshwa loyi ku ri CEO ya kona hambi mi ya le amankweni that's why na nehawu va ni tsutsumisa va ku I juniorize the department ni mi vonile statement xa vona ku the MEC is juniorizing the department a ni tivi va lahleketa kini ku ni teka vakhalabye na vakhegulu va 60 years ni ku va lava va khomiweke hi ti-backache ku ri va rhana swibedhlele ni fanela ku developa
institutional history institutional memory
yi ta va njhani if ever loko i advertise post ku apply munhu wa malembe ya 60 kumbe 62 i n'wi appointa i ri hi yena CEO ya xibedhlele in the next 2 years 3 years wa retire a ku na proper training ya the junior ones se mina nakona ndzawulo yi lava energy yi lava munhu loyi a ta kota ku tsutsuma left right and center se that is why ni ku swibedhlele swa hina loko mo languta swibedhlele leswi vantshwa hambi mi ya le a Mukopani hambi mi ya le a Letaba loko mi kuma ku ile Elisras la hinga veka ku vantshwa hi vulavula van'wani va ri na malembe ya less than 30 van'wani at least ni vulavula mun'wana na un'wana a ri less than 35 a ni vulavuli hi va towards 40 ni ku i vantshwa loko hi vulavula hi less than 35 hi vona hi va nyiketa ku vutihlamuleri ene hi va nyiketa sweswo because hi lava ku fanele ku va ku second layer ya generation ya leadership loko hi huma hina ku va ti MEC kumbe ku va ti HOD hi ta tikuma kwihi if hi nga va nyiketi opportunity ya ku va sungula hi ku va operational manager ya clinic manager ya xibedhlele. That's why hi lava sweswo. So loko hi langute vantshwa hina ndzawulo ya rihanyo a hi va languti ka mavabyi ntsena hi va languta na ti well-being ta vona na ku vantshwa va fanele ku ri va va in the forefront. Xin'wana xo hetelela loko mi languta ti specialist ta hina la Limpopo leti hi ti nyungubyisaka hi tona i vantshwa va endla ti operation tikulukumba to chavisa hi va nyiketa ti opportunity teto so mi nge ti kumi loko ndzawulo yi nga endli sweswo. So mina na aguwa loko vantshwa va ku vona va nyikiwa opportunity ka ndzawulo ya hina ha va nyiketa ti opportunity ko va ku unfortunately ka ndzawulo ya rihanyo i fana ku ri i va i ye xikolweni loko yi nga dyondzekangi hi nge ku teki hi ku wena i ta va head of clinical department ya radiology i nga ri radiologist i fana ku va radiologist ku sungula i va muntshwa hi ta ku teka.
Kumbe na miyingiseri un'wana a nga tshama swi vula sweswaku leswi talaka ku endla timhaka ta ku kala mtshamiseko lomu swibedhlele na yini na yini i mhaka ya sweswo swa ku mina ti-supporting staff a vutisa ku hikokwalaho ka inthanete hi ndzawulo ya rihanyo mi nga endli ku fana na le vusocheni munhu un'wana na un'wana loko a lava ku tirha a ndzawulo ya vusocha i socha a nga se languta timhaka ta ku i ta va spokesperson i ta va yini kumbexana na n'wina swi ta mi olovisela.
Wa masiku lama a ni ri mi swi voni na swakudya swo swibedhlele swa hina swi cincile lembe leriya ni sungula ni ku I'm professionalizing kitchen ba mache va ya ka premier ku mususi i ku swakudya swa vavabyi swi nge swekiwi hi munhu un'wana na un'wana ku laveka ti food service aides ku laveka ti nutritionist ku laveka ti dietitian leti ta prescribe after ti dokodela ta ku laveka the renal diet ku laveka diabetic diet the cardiac patients diet se loko i nga dyondzangi i ta swi twisisa njhani ku na cardiac a swi fani se hi swona leswi vanhu va lwaka na Phophi Ramathuba va lwela sweswo ku loko ni fika ni ku a mo teka munhu un'wana na un'wana mi n'wi yisa a kitchen mi ku a sweka a teka fish oil a ku bobobo a teka chicken a yi panisha a ni ri na mina hi sweswo hi swi endlaku kaya se loko hi vulavula hi swakudya swa vavabyi ha professionalizer na loko hi advertise tiposo i fanele ku ri i ye xikolweni i graduate i vuya 30 years into democracy vanhu va dyondze xikolo a ka ri leswiya swa ku hi ta lava grade 12 na ku cleana a xibedhlele swi lavaka ku i ve i pase at least grade 12 because ka hina loko i cleana a xibedhlele i fanele ku tiva that's why hi va vitana ti-ward attendants because loko mi cleana a mi cleani ku ri ku xayina ntsena ku va na leswi swi vitanaka ku infection control mi tiva ku mopo lowu mi wu tirhisaka ka ward leyi a mi wu tirhisi ka wadi leyi a swi fani se hi lwela sweswo leswi hi swi lwelaku swona ni mi nyiketa example yin'wana before ni famba ya le Apilanomi xibedhlele ku sungula siku rin'wana le a ICU every day hi 10 o'clock muvabyi a lova ka bed leyi metron famba a fika a tshama le a xibedhlele awading alava ku languta ku humelela yini hi 10 o'clock a fika ku hayi ku fika vanhu lava va ta lava ku cleana loko mani va fika va disconnecta muchini luya va connecta wa vona va cleana va famba va tlhela connect sweswiwani that's why hi ku na ku cleana a xibedhlele education ya laveka ku loko hi ku pine gel na pine liquid a swi fani ma swi twa
a hitseleni si a tlheleni ka cholera xiyimo xi njhani a Limpopo sweswi?
Awa xiyimo xa hina nyipi hayilwa a hi si va na case leyi hi nga ku it's a local transmission ti-case hinkwato leti hi vulavulaka hi tona mi ta twa va ku munhu a ye le a Hammanskraal a khomiwa hi yona hambi i munhu luya le a ri le a Vulavula i munhu wo tshama a North West laha ku ri na loko a twa ku vabya a ta a xibedhlele xa hina hambi i luya wa Musina i munhu wo ti tshamela le a Zimbabwe wo twa a ta a xibedhlele a sika na munhu luya wa le a Gapane a ye a funeral le a Hammanskraal se hi tirha na timasipala ta hina mativa xifundzankulu xa Limpopo ka tirhiwa ko va ku vanhu a va lavi ku pfumela portfolio committee ya hina ya health loko swi sungula na vona va hi vitanile hi va hlamusela ku hi nga lwa njhani na nyimpi leyi va nga heti kwalaho hi va byela ku problem ya hina i leswi swa mati va vitana another committee ya Coxter va vitana na timasipala ti-executive mayor ta Vovembe va vitaniwa hi portfolio committee va va byela ku hlamuselani MEC ku ri mi ta mu pfuna njhani ku ri ku nga vi na cholera vanhu vo vona ku nga ri na outbreak ya cholera la i mhaka ya ku ka tirhiwa Limpopo hambi i ti-member of legislature vamanana va Pholi Vuxiyelo na vamanana va Kidiboni va hi vitanile mina na MEC Makamu va vitana timeyara va ku pfunani mangutwa Phophi wa rile mi n'wi pfuneni va hi pfuna that's why hi nga ri na yona cholera
MEC ni khensa swinene ku bula na
Inkomu.
n'wina vana na siku lerinene MEC Dr Phophi Ramathuba mixer Mgangalona FM ka hi bula na vona va ka va nyika xifaniso xa hi laha ndzawulo ya vo yi tirhaka ko ku tiyisisa na ku seketela vantshwa hi nkarhi lowu wa ku tlangela siku ra vantshwa namuntlha hi ndlela yoleyo a hi kumeni mahungu ya misava ya awara yan'we hi ta vuya yisa mahlweni na nongoro ku Afrika wa vulavula endzhaku ka mahungu sweswo mixer Mgangalona FM hi vuyele ntsevu timinete ku pela awara ya 13 a hi tweneni ku premier loko va vulavula na vantshwa va ri yini
something that it is seen to be something that happens only in one particular enclave called Soweto. It's something that engulfed the whole country. Ladies and gentlemen, that June 16 revolt engulfed the whole country, including Limpopo itself, the then Northern Transvaal. If you want to know about that, go and read a book written by Peter Delius, Professor Peter Delius of Wits University, who talks about the effect of June 16 in the rural Northern Transvaal, in the then rural Northern Transvaal. Then you'll understand that this was not something that only happened in the enclave of Soweto. Yes, it started in Soweto, and I'm going to tell you why and how. Let me take you a little bit through a journey of history, and I'll come back and contextualize it to the needs of the young people today. In 1967, the young people of that time, being students at tertiary level, but also Bani Pichani, but Steve Biko, Hoboti Abraham Tiro, and a number of them, they met and agreed that they must get out of the then National Union of South African Student NUSAS and establish their own student wing called South African Student Organization, which was supposed to be a black student organization. Remember, the period 1959 up till the period of the 1979 and 80s, the early 80s, was the period that was dominated in the main by a philosophy of black consciousness then. And I'm specifically emphasizing that it was a philosophy of black consciousness, not an ideology of black consciousness. So during that time, they agreed that they will establish an organization that was going to be a black student organization called SARS, or the South African Student Organization. And they established it in 1969 and launched it at the university, the then University of the North in Polokwane, Pietersburg, in 1969. That experience, that innovation, that situation, or perhaps should I say, that escapade, or I don't know how to conceptualize it. But what I'm trying to say is that it brought about a change to the landscape of the political landscape of South Africa. In 1972, the same SASO sat back and said, but we can't just organize in tertiary organizations, in tertiary institutions. We need to sit back and also go and plan to organize in secondary and primary level of education. Then they said, let us establish another structure that is going to organize in primary and secondary level of our education. Hence, they came up with an organization called SASM, the South African Student Movement, in 1972. Remember, 1972 was during that time when you had the PATCO bus strikes, the Durban bus strikes, and you started having political activity after the lull that took place in the 1960s in our country. Then SASM, the South African Student Movement, in 1976, June 1976, decided to organize a march in Soweto from Naledi High. They decided to organize a march that was going to protest against the introduction of Afrikaans as a medium of instruction. Remember, that time we had a campaign called Education Campaign, where we were campaigning against Bantu education, which was introduced to us in 1953. So, in 1976, the apartheid regime decided that they are now going to make Afrikaans a medium of instruction. Those people who were studying whatever subject in English will now have to change and study it in Afrikaans. Some of us that time who were already in matric, it meant that you are changing from mathematics to wiskunde. And that said to us that that is not going to be acceptable. I always make an example, Squatty, of a theorem in mathematics, the isosceles triangle theorem. You know, when you analyze or when you teach it in English, it's very easy and straightforward. But translate it in Afrikaans, it becomes very difficult. You know, when the teacher came to our class, he said, this isosceles triangle, a triangle in Afrikaans is a driehoek. He said to us, basis hoeke van 'n gelijkbenige driehoek is altyd gelyk. You then translate it to English. It means base angles of an isosceles triangle are equal. As simple and straightforward as that. But how do you expect ngwana wa form 4 or wa form 3 gore a change to that? I know wrong wala matric next year or the same year. Then the students that time, under leadership of SASM, decided we are not going to accept this. And they organized that march in Soweto. It was a peaceful march, as Koshi says. But unfortunately, they were met with the might of the then apartheid forces, the apartheid police, the SAP. And they shot. And the first victim was a 14-year child called Oscar Peterson. And that in itself led to from one event to another. And then almost all students who were organized that time in whatever formations, be it SASM or whatever, then decided that it is not going to be Soweto alone. We are going to pledge solidarity. Because that problem is not a problem of the Soweto students. It's a problem of South African black students, all of them. And when I say black, I'm referring to Africans, I'm referring to Coloureds, I'm referring to the Indians. all of us were affected by Bantu education and that decision of making Afrikaans a medium of instruction. Then we revolted. We revolted, all of us, for the whole year. And that year was lost to academic performance because almost every school was affected in one way or another. Like I'm saying, I started knowing Tengwe High School that time because it was very active. Tengwe High School. I started knowing Maripi High School that time because it was active. I started knowing Limana that time because it was active. I started knowing a number of other schools which were out of our territory because I was in the area of Skuku, where we were also active. Hence I'm saying it was not just a Soweto thing. It was a revolt, a student revolt that engulfed the whole country. It happened also in the Eastern. It happened also in KZN schools in Durban. It happened also in the Western Cape and all over in Buputa, the then Buputa Tswana. It was a national revolt where students that time were saying, we are tired of this system of education. We want a better education. We want an education where a black man and a white man, a white student and a black student will be in the same class and be able to sit on the same desk and learn the same content. We want the type of education that will no longer make us subservient and domesticated. It's an education that will no longer train us to be servants, to be workers of our white bosses. An education that will make us also to be able to be bosses. An education that will make a child of a miner to be a miner. An education that will make a child of a domestic worker to be a doctor also. That is the type of education that we said we wanted. We said we want an education that will be accessible to everybody. Everybody must be able to access that education. We said we want primary health care to be free. And most of those things we have achieved. Remember that time, you did not have the number of high schools that we are having today. High school or secondary schools were very far from the residence of the students. Remember that time, it was not easy to even go and start schooling at the then sub A or grade 1 today or grade R. Because you had to pay school fees. You had to buy books. You had to buy stationery yourself. And if you are from a poor family where your parents are not working, you are doomed to become illiterate because you could not go to school because you don't have money, nobody to take you to school. Many young, brilliant brothers and sisters had to leave schooling so that they can take their siblings to school. Go and look for jobs so that they can take their siblings to school. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the relevance of this today? What is the relevance of June 16 today? Why are we celebrating the fruits of the efforts, of the struggles of those who fought in 1976? We need to celebrate them, understanding the current dynamics, understanding what is happening today. What is it that we have? Remember, the June 16 generation did not have computers. They did not have televisions. There were no televisions that time. They did not have what cellular phones. They did not have internet. The young people of today have those things. And the young people of today must therefore change the landscape and determine their own mission. Like Frantz Fanon would say, they must go and identify their own mission, either betray it or fulfill it. Of course, in their own apathy. And then if the young people can do that, Lena, the leaders of today's young people, then you will start by organizing the young people and make sure that in an event of this nature, you will find even Osne space, more comrade Tony. Then you will say the young people are therefore leading in this country. You are leading young people. But as long as they are still, the young people are still expected to be organized by people of our age, then you'll find this situation. They need, as young people of 1976, we had our mission and we fulfilled it. We did not betray our mission that time. Because that time we were in the majority, of course, yes. And we were also in the majority in the various organizations that we were having. If you had an organization such as SASO, and then you had Black People's Convention, you would find that the young people are more than the old people in Black People's Convention. Because we're organizing young people to be part of their future. In life, it is said you must not wait for the future to happen around you. You must be seen and be found to be the one who's changing the future and making it meaningful to you. Otherwise, others will determine the future for you, and it will happen around you. So, as the provincial government of Limpopo, fast forward now, as the provincial government of Limpopo, we decided long ago that we'll allocate 10% of all the tenders, the procurement budget of Limpopo to young people. And it is happening. I can assure you, it is happening. We are monitoring it. There are young people, many young people who are running around here, who are being empowered by the provincial government. Together with the NYDA, we decided to establish a youth fund that is going to generate interest and induce young people to make it a point that they participate in creating business and changing the future themselves, not waiting for the future to happen around themselves. We have identified already around 4,050 posts that are funded that can be advertised. We are going to advertise them in tranches, not the NYDA, South African Youth Council, Comrade Tony said. We are going to advertise them in tranches. The first, it will be about 2,500, and from there we'll be advertising about 95,000, and so on and so forth, depending on the needs. That is what we are going to do. And that is going to be done very recently. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you, June 16 generation created the platform for you. June 16 generation created the stage for you. Now it is for you as young people to occupy that stage and dance on it. It can be us, it can be others to determine the way in which you are dancing. You know, the bump jive. So, so, Renyaka ore, lena jwale ka baswa, participate in forums of government. Okay, government iya going to local government, the councillors. By the meeting, young people must flood those meetings so that the narrative, so that the direction must be the direction that is determined by young people. If government decides that we are going to establish particular empowerment projects in this particular area, the young people must be there and attend those meetings, so that at the end of the day they must be in the position to can sound the voice of the young people within that decision. It can be that young people are sitting in their own comforts, wherever they are, and start saying we are not being involved. Secondly, or lastly, young people must ensure that when they go to school, they study courses that are relevant to the needs of the economy. Don't just go to school and do degree about 3 degrees. But or level those degrees, they are not really very relevant to the needs of the economy. If you are a young person, you are Raskukune, you know that in that area, the economy is dominated by mining. So when you study things that will make you relevant to the needs of that economy. If you are in Vembe, you've got mining, tourism here. You also have agriculture, the main. When you go to school, study things that will make you relevant to those sectors of your economy. Then you won't be a graduate without a job. I was watching one young woman from this area, from Bembe. Just forgot the surname. She came with an innovation of purifying water. And she has made now a name in that industry because she decided, after completing her a junior degree, she said, I can't get a job, what do I do? And she went to do an honors and a master's. From there she said, no, I'm no longer going to look for a job now. I'm going to create jobs. And she came up with that innovation and created a method of purifying water. And she's now employing a lot of people, a lot of young people. So it is possible, it can be done. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do it. Based on that, also, we have, as the provincial government, identified Musina Makado and Fitahomutuwas as special economic zone. And like we always said, these are our catalytic projects, and we would want young people to be employed, to be involved in this project. They are big projects. which are supposed to involve young people. And the advocacy of young people against some of these people who are stopping or perhaps disrupting this project is going to be very helpful when organized young people come and say, you can't say we can't change the lives of these people simply because wena o nyaka go dira